I'm a music producer, some sort of private quest to find out what the hell music is. It really puzzles me. I mean, if you look at it, what is music really good for? That's what I've been thinking about. First of all, music has changed from being a piece of plastic that you buy in a record store to something that you maybe get if you buy a new flat. You get Spotify included. So music has changed from a merchandise, a piece of plastic, to almost like a human right, like fresh water or democracy. And this is only the beginning. I believe that we have only begun to understand what music can be, and that's what interests me. Researchers at MIT have played music to Alzheimer's patients. Patients that don't remember their relatives, their name or their faces, but if they hear the song that they can relate to, they remember the song, and then something happens, then they also remember their loved one. So it is something really deep. I think that music is a part of the human construction. And I think that we're in a period of time right now which is nothing but a revolution. I remember when I started to make music, I'm a very old man, this is what you needed to make something that sounded okay. This is how I started, and of course this is today everything that I use. When I think about when I bought my Sony Walkman in the 80s, it was really good. You know, I had 45 minutes of music on each side, 3, maybe 4 hours of battery time. If I then would know what I have today, I wouldn't believe it. I could not even imagine what I have today in my pocket that can access all music, or pretty much all music, instantly, and music making tools that would make Peter Gabriel envious at that time, and it cost like less than a cup of coffee. If I today try to imagine what I will have tomorrow, I cannot even imagine what it is. So I think we're living in an extraordinary time right now. I did a project some few years ago, not so far from here, well, kind of far, but in Kiruna, S-Range, the Swedish space station. We had made a project where we sent specially composed music out in space. This was done in 2008, so it has been traveling 7 light years since then. And why music? This project was very much inspired by projects made before. This is the antenna at S-Range where we send the signal with the specially composed music. Why should we send music? I think music is something very, very fundamental to us humans, and I think it's the best thing to send. If I would go to like the jungles of Borneo or meet a headhunter or some civilization that I don't have a clue about, I wouldn't understand the language, I wouldn't understand the body language or the tradition or the culture at all. But if I would play my song and they would play my song, we would understand right away. Music can never be misunderstood. I think this is kind of funny. This is a message that a professor at the American University gave his student. This is a code, binary. This is ones and zeros presented in a long line, and the students were supposed to find out how can we decode this as a message. The idea is that there are 73 by 23, which are binary numbers. If you combine those, you get this message. And here you see this is the sun, this is the planets, this is the Earth a bit up. This is actually a human, if you believe that. And he had really smart students. No one had a clue. If someone would receive this with a picture of a human, I mean, a human could be like this. We could be, you know, it's really complicated to send a message. Should we send code? Should we send pictures? It would just be revolting. In the 70s, NASA had a big project where they sent 2 probes, the Voyager 1 and 2. And they had a golden plaque with a picture of a man and a woman and the solar system and stuff like that. But it also had a golden vinyl disc. Well, golden vinyl. It was a disc made of gold with these symbols that somehow explains where we come from, but also a picture of the hydrogen atom, and that is some sort of reference is in size, so that the potential receivers of this message would know that we're not small as dust or big as mountains, because that could also be the case. But it's also reference in speed, how fast to play the flip side of this golden record that is now traveling since like 30 years in space. And this record holds some sounds from Earth, cows mooing and water pouring and stuff like that, but also lots of music, lots and lots of music. Chuck Berry, Beatles, Beethoven, a lot of indigenous culture music. So it was a big thing, and it cost a lot of money, but they chose to send music. It's something really important about that. I did another project some years ago where I borrowed the monkeys of the Skansen, the Stockholm Zoo. So I gave them one synthesizer each. Actually, I was 6 monkeys, and they were given the task to play on these synthesizers. This is come up with. I can fast forward a little bit. Actually, this is not a monkey. This is a carnivore, but it doesn't matter. It's not a synth. It's a sampler. That was a question. Can monkeys make music? So the project aimed to ask the question, does monkeys have any musical skills? No, they don't. They have no talent whatsoever, as you can see. The interesting thing is that in a recent project, only last year, Peter Gabriel, he met a monkey researcher who worked with a female bonobo, which is the second smartest creature on Earth, like the small chimpanzee. And this female, she was really smart, and she actually understands music. And to me, that's pretty amazing. But it does something really fundamental to us. Anyone who is exercising, obviously I'm not, but those who do, notice that if you exercise the music, you feel less tired. It's very easy to measure this. I did the music for the Gothenburg Indoor European Championship, Athletic Championship in 2013. All the music, that was the first championship ever actually that had music made to all the disciplines, all through. All the athletes were practically doing their sports to music. When the Swedish long jump star Michel Tornéus, he did his first jump, first attempt, and he stepped over. It was disqualified, and we did his second one. The producer said that Michel, he really likes this beat, boom, kaka, kaka. So he asked me, could you do something with that? So I took that beat, but I added some effect to it, and play that in the speaker while we did this second attempt. Yes, and it was a new Swedish record. So the question is, music really affects us. Can we use that as a doping? And is that legal? I think it is. I really think it is. Another project last year, it's called Sounds for Driving, and it was a project where I did with a sound researcher based on lots of research about music and driving. So we made a CD with different tracks for different driving situations. And this was given to all the customers of Europcar in Sweden last year, so they could try themselves. And it's very detailed. I won't play you any of the music, but it was tailor-made music for specific situations. And this, I believe, is the future of music. This is another project called Big Beat, because it's the world's biggest drum machine. This is from Arlanda International Airport. And the drum machine works like this, that you have to hold the buttons in order to play. There's one row of bass drum, one of snare drum, one of hi-hat. There's a small LED blinking so you know where you are in the beat. But in order to play this, you have to, be like Spider-Man playing Twister, to stand in silly positions against the wall. And you also have to make friends, because this is 10 meters wide. So it's a drum machine that is also a social meeting place, and it's also a game. So amongst these sounds there are 3 notes hidden. If you find the 3 notes together, you level and you get new drum sounds. If you reach level 5, you win the game. So I'm thinking, what can music be except what it already is? And this is another project. Drinking alcohol and music has always been a very good combination. We all know that. In this project is called the Beat Bar. It's not only 2 things happening at the same time in the same place. It is the same thing. In this project, each glass is controlling a musical component. So one drinker, one guest, is playing drums, one is playing percussion, one is playing bass, one playing chord, one is playing melodies. Everything sounds good together. If you twist the glass, you get different loops, and you control the volume like this. Then, of course, you order some snacks. You order some peanuts, which is a filter. Maybe you order some crisps, which could be a loop machine. So we have all in all 8 different effects, lots of songs. And then making music and drinking becomes something completely different, because you make it yourself. I made yet another project, which I think was quite interesting, and also about communication in one way. It's called Invisible, and it's a tennis game for blind people or seeing people blindfolded. You play in a physical room with these rackets, and the rackets have infrared beams in all directions. The net is just a box, but I revealed it. It's 2 Wii remotes that we tweaked a little bit so they can receive the infrared information where the racket is. And there is no ball. The ball is sound. Doesn't. And we simulate earthly gravity with the sound, so you can play to each other. There are speakers in the corner. It's about 8 meters court. The racket also makes a sound. So if you have a racket low, you have a low tone or a high tone. So it's like a game where you're supposed to match the pitch of the ball and the pitch of the racket at the right depth and the right, left and right. So making music becomes a game, and it's like the worst spectator game ever, because there is no ball, there's nothing to see. So therefore we made this interface so you can see on the TV where the simulated ball is. Another project about disability. I should also say that this previous project was made from the hypothesis that this would be a game where blind people would beat the shit out of seeing people, and they did. I've played this game more than most, actually, because it's my game. I met this gentleman who was born blind, and he won like 15-1. I didn't have a chance because he knew how to listen. I also met another guy who was born blind, who was one of those that would click his way through. He knew the size of a room by clicking. But he was not particularly interested in music. It was like 14, 15. So it's as important to have a musical interest, a musical hearing, as it is to be blind. Or blind meaning that you actually listen, which is a huge difference. This is another musical interface made for autistic children. Autistic children tend to cuddle up with themselves. They don't want to touch anyone. They don't want to meet your eyes. They like to listen inwards. So we made this cube with just with sensor on each side and built-in speaker. So it's quite basic, but only by interacting different combination on the cube, you get like 64 different combination, and the first side you press determines which bank it is. So from this very simple interaction, we get like 350 different combinations. And this is another ongoing project, which is also a musical instrument, but is like the first puzzle you get when you're a kid, where you're supposed to put in a circle hole, and a triangle, and a square. This works the same way, but these blocks have small connections that are connected in different ways in different cubes. So the system, the box, knows which block is where, and each row of the block represent a musical component. One row represents rhythm, so you make algorithmic rhythms. The next line represents melodies, the next one arrangement, loops, stuff like that. And then you put on a top layer, which represents mix and effects and stuff like that. So it's like a way to make quite complex music with absolutely no skill at all. If you like 2 months, you should be able to play this instrument. So, an app that is I did some years ago, and it has actually been used in Swiss schools. Sorry about that, Mr. Technician. As a instrument for kids in school to learn music. And it's called the Yellow Fire. And it works like this. You record something. It defines the peaks, the transients of the sound automatically. Each sound is divided into slices. This is the first slice, put it there, maybe this one. Then all these patterns here, these are effects. So maybe I choose this effect with that sound. What happens then? I edit by flipping like that. Very simple. I adjust the level like that. And I pitch like this. Oh, sorry. I can make it random. Just try different things. Anything sounds good, right? Like this again. That's really good, right? Maybe I add some instrument. Maybe, oh, sorry, add something else. I edit like this, make a song like that. Maybe should make a break, make it random. So I'm not kidding. I mean, you can make a rhythm in. Thank you. You make a rhythm in a few seconds, and you make a song in a few minutes. And the interface doesn't look like, to me it looks like music, but it is not a timeline. There's no piano, there's no menu, there's no text. Because that's an old idea that this is the way, that's music should look like that. It should look like the machine, the instrument that we have in the physical world. But if you grow up with an iPad as your first instrument instead of a recorder or a guitar, then it can look like anything. So this went really well. And then I got inspired. So I was thinking, flipping cubes, in this kind of environment. That's really cool. It looks like the Rubik's Cube thing. So I made this, made a sequencer, and it's actually over there. So I'm going to connect it after this talk. And each is a color recognizing sequencer. There's a camera on top, there's a light, and each color is an instrument. So white is drums, and there's bass, and there's melodies. This is the grid with the 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is high pitch, low pitch. It's quite basic. Why make music instrument out of Rubik's Cube? That's just stupid. Yes, it is. I mean, but is my sort of private research to try to find out what can music be except already. Can it be a puzzle? Could it be a three-dimensional puzzle? Because this is super complicated. If I want to, you know, change a note that should be on this place instead of that place with this instrument, I have to think, wow, then I have to remove that cube, I have to twist like that, replace it with that cube, so it becomes like, I mean, the 4x4 cube is really tricky. And then, on top of that, making music out of it is hopeless. So if I want to make a song on this instrument, it will take me like a full day for one bar. It's just stupid. But it's interesting, because it is something else. In this app, you know, I come with my big finger and flip small cubes, small squares. That's the way I interact. So I was thinking, if it would be the other way, if the cubes will be really big. Sorry. There we go. Like this. And this setup is actually in the next room, so you're welcome to come afterwards and try this. This is quite simple. The big-ass cubes are 8 cubic meter each, and the side up determines which loop it is. The 3 instruments is drums, bass, and melody. And by flipping them around, you create different rhythms. If you put them in 45-degree angle, you have a filter that takes away the bass, so you can make breaks and various DJ tricks doing this. So, yeah, that was kind of my private research to see what music might be, except what it already is. But I'm thinking about finishing with a performance. This was not much of a performance. Kind of weird performance. When I make music, I made music for a long time and made a lot of pop, and I made a lot of experimental stuff. And I sort of got fed up with making music sound good, because today it's so easy. It's very easy to just throw in a bunch of synthesizer and it sounds fantastic, and I can choose preset mixes. So making pop or making commercial club music is not very challenging, but to make sounds that sounds ugly is far more interesting to me, like a lot of people here in the audience, of course. The music here is made of the unwanted sounds in a recording. Traditionally you don't want any beeps, you don't want any hiss or glitches, but if you only use the unwanted sounds making music, you get a completely different atmosphere. But this is only half the music. The rest of the music is hidden in this room. I've hidden 10 different motion detectors. I'll reveal one for you. Oh, sorry. Right. So if you're interested, try to find 10 different sounds hidden in various places. They could be around corners, underneath things, hidden in things. But this is a concert, so you need to be quiet. And if you find a sound, don't tell anyone, it's a secret, right? 5 minutes, 10 sounds. It's on, right? It's on, right? Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, do that. Okay, do that. So, hope you found them. That was it. Thank you.